And Bill King joining us here, bottom of hour number 2, the king of college football talk and a good friend of Halftime. He's on Nashville Sports Radio 6 to 9, Monday through Friday. Bill, our baseball season ended here a little earlier than we expected. Vanderbilt continues. I really did think we'd see Arkansas and Vandy matching up in the College World Series this year, but not to be. And Vandy made it look kind of easy. It is pretty tough to beat. They say you got to beat both those pitchers. It's tough to beat one of them.
Back into shape. Look to be pitching some of their best ball. Now, the bats coming and going. I know that's baseball, but I question whether they have enough lumber to win this whole thing.
Is the shortstop coming back? I know that I saw that you had told us about his shoulder injury the last week of the regular season, but I've read that he's on his way back now, and another one of the bats that's been hurt is looks like it might be coming back. So does it look like Vanderbilt might be getting healthy-ish at the right time?
Yes, he's back. Usually it's in the 2 slot. I think they had him on down the lineup, and because that's something a lot of times you don't pick right back up when you come back, take some reps. But no, they're I think health-wise 1 through 9 and everything else, I think they're in good shape.
Well, and now Tennessee is like the epicenter of college baseball, man. I mean, it is the only state that's got 2 teams in the College World Series. You kind of expect Vanderbilt's going to be playing for that every year now. And I think Tony Vitello has Tennessee at the same level. Like if last season would have continued, he had the same kind of team to get there. And you know, I don't see things changing with Tennessee very much at all in the near future.
No, he has done a fantastic job. You guys know him better than I do, but he's done a wonderful job, and apparently there's lots of talent coming in there. They promised him the money, whatever it takes to keep him. You know, Lindsey Nelson's probably the worst facility, baseball stadium in the league. So they've told him they're going to put the millions into that. They're also building a brand-new downtown AA baseball facility. It's usually up, where Dollywood and Gatlinburg. That's where their facility is right now, but they're moving that one into downtown. I think Tennessee may play in that one some too, actually.
Yeah, that'd be interesting if they could pull that off to share with a AA team. I'd read about that.
Yeah.
So, and I know Vandy and Tennessee could end up playing in the finals, which would be, I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what it is. I think Texas may be the best team in that bracket, though. But I wonder, you and I have talked about Arkansas baseball throughout the season. Everybody here was incredibly shocked at losing to North Carolina State. And from your perspective, as someone that does pay attention to SEC baseball and knows college baseball pretty well, what was your level of shock seeing Arkansas get knocked out?
Boy, a heck of a lesson. And here's the shocker. And I know baseball every day's a reset. I get that. They won that first game, 16-1 or whatever it was? I guess I just took that for granted. And there's no way these next 2 games NC State's going to knock them off. And my mouth was agape. I got to tell you. I did. And I know, hey, NC State's a really good team. So that's not my point here, but I did not see that coming.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the big stuff coming on in college football now is this potential 11-game, 12-team playoff that feels like a foregone conclusion that the conference commissioners and all of them are going to approve this. It's just a matter of exactly what year it gets implemented. Does this lead to greater parity in college football because there's better access to playing for a championship than they've ever had before, or is it still just going to end up being a chalky sport?
Going to be chalky. These teams that aren't getting in the BCS or the 4-team playoff are not going to advance far in this tournament, this 12-team tournament. It's going to stay chalky. Now, will Coastal Carolina, who would have gotten in last year with 12, or Cincinnati, teams that before wouldn't have even gotten in will now have that opportunity, but it won't change the chalkiness of the top at all. And those that think so either haven't studied college football or are just dreaming. But, guys, this isn't about anything being fair. This is about taking that $460 million that they now get for the 4-team and probably running that number up around $1 billion. That's what this is all about. They're dressing it up as some wonderful, let's keep it even, let's get everybody more happy, let's be more inclusive. This is about the money. And you know what? I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but they don't dress it up the right way. They lie to you about it.
We got into what the money might look like yesterday. I was reading in Stuart Mandel's piece in The Athletic about the consulting firm that kind of projected what they think the annual revenues could be for each conference and therefore for each school. And the thought is that, and this is before, the bonus money goes to conferences for teams that make it into the playoff and the semifinal rounds and all of that. Arkansas gets what, like I forget the exact number, 4.2 million dollars per year from the playoff. They will make something like 26 million under the next contract with 11 teams. I mean, when you put it in those terms, like, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's not better for college football. It's going to take a lot of the regular season. Oklahoma had 2 losses last year, guys. That wouldn't matter now. It wouldn't matter at all. That's not what I signed up for, but that's where they're going. This is not a what if. This is 100% going to happen, and it might be as early as 2023.
Bill King joining us here on Halftime. Bill, let's keep it with this college football playoff just for a moment. And I think the one thing that you see the kind of the division with fans and kind of their opinions on this, and I want to ask you, why do you think it's so important that the bowl system is kept afloat? Is it because ESPN owns the bowls, that the contracts with the bowls? What's the importance, in your opinion, of the bowl system, and how do you think they'll, I guess, manage this thing moving forward, assuming that the 12-team playoff is approved by all parties?
Right. Well, it's always been about that one more game, and it's supposed to be a reward. Even if you're not going to the sexiest city, it's supposed to be a reward for the players. Just another game. Now, again, has it become not quite as popular and as fun to some, and are some opting out? Yes. But I think that's what it's about, and there's money to be made on all these bowl games. So they're going to try, obviously they're going to try and have all these games go. Just the other item is those quarterfinal games. Right now, under the plan would be at bowl sites, but there's a lot of people that want to see those in home stadiums too. That's probably where the biggest debate is right now.
And I'm kind of drifting off that for a second. You brought up like the Coastal Carolinas and those different teams that kind of have the opportunity to maybe try to sneak into a playoff now, theoretically, under these new rules. Where do you think this leaves Notre Dame? Because obviously playing in the ACC last season, and I assume that they're going to go back to being the independent, kind of scheduling the games as they please. Do you see them maybe permanently moving into the ACC once this thing gets approved, just to not necessarily take up an at-large spot? Because I guess, Bill, that's what they would end up taking up, is not necessarily the conference champion.
For example, last year, 2020, if we had the 12-team bracket, Coastal Carolina 12 seed would have played Notre Dame 5 seed in South Bend in somewhere, mid-December. Jack Swarbrick was part of this agreement. He was part of the 4-man get-together, commissioners and Swarbrick, and was for leaving Notre Dame out when it comes to being a top 4 seed. I'm not sure where they stand. They've always stood for we're not joining a league. And right now they're not planning on joining a league. And this year they go back to independent. But I've always thought, at least for the foreseeable future, they would not join a league. It's altogether possible. And if they do, it would be the ACC. Wouldn't be the Big Ten.
It's going to be interesting to kind of see how this thing plays out. And then I think from a lot of like Razorback fans' perspective, and obviously not this year and looking ahead for the next 2 or 3 years, probably not even going to sniff the current format of the college football playoff. But if you look 4, 5, 6 years down the road, and possibly Sam Pittman really has this thing rolling, Bill, this seems like an opportunity where Arkansas could possibly sneak in that 12, 11, 10 line, maybe as an at-large team in this new college football playoff. Do you agree with that?
I mean, the way things are going, sure. I mean, if they keep incrementally getting better, that's possible. I believe 4 would have gotten in this last year. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and A&M would have gotten in the 12-team bracket, I believe. And I think 3 is going to be rather typical, and on an extreme year, maybe 4. And that means that a team that probably wasn't going to get in, maybe Arkansas, et cetera, would have a much better chance.
quarterfinal, semifinal would be bowl game sites, and then the championship game would be another bowl game site. Why do some coaches feel that they want to play in a bowl game after they lose a first-round game on a campus site? Does this make any sense?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, guys, there's still some things confusing. You realize that the committee, which is still going to be in charge here, will have their rankings, which will not be the same necessarily as where the conference champion is ranked. Won't necessarily be seeded like their rankings suggest. This is a weird. We're getting into some murky territory, guys.
So, I mean, here's a sport that probably has the most controversy of any of the sports when it comes to picking a champion. And we thought that we would do away with some of that controversy with the BCS. It led to more controversy. The college football playoff hasn't done that. Is this just a sport that's always going to be chaotic? Is that just how it's going to be?
I've got a proposal, guys.
Shoot.
First person who tweets, it could just be a random fan, or school that complains about being number 13 should be forced the death penalty. Get out forever. SMU times infinity.
I love it. Immediate death penalty for the first team that complains about it. That's brilliant.
No warnings, no slap on the wrist, no 3 strikes, you're out.
Well, I also keep hearing some coaches, Bill, say that they think that there should be a czar of college football. Please, pretty please, put your name in the list to be the czar of college football. I think I'd vote for you, although you don't vote for czars.
You know what? And I am so against a czar. Unless it's me, I'm so against it because
I'd vote for you.
If we'd have had a czar last year, we wouldn't have played football.
You're probably right.
Unless it was somebody from the SEC. If the czar of college football, some guy up in Chicago, is supposed to be objective, guys, we don't play a lick of football last year. If I'm the SEC office, I'll be darned if I'm letting some guy in an ivory tower in Indianapolis tell me what we're doing. Ain't happening.
Yeah, well, I think I could agree with that, too. Bill, we got to run. Appreciate you, man.
Okay.
SmackDown's not with us next week. We'll introduce you to the new co-host next week.
Thanks, Bill, for everything you've done.
SmackDown, love you, buddy.
Appreciate it. Love you, too,
Gonna
Bill.
miss you.
Yeah, man.
All right. Bill King.
See you guys.
Nashville Sports Radio will be with us next Wednesday. We always appreciate his time. He would get my vote. But again, you don't vote for czars. Like, that's a totalitarian.
Maybe you should be. Like, maybe this goes back to our discussion, like making you the czar of, like, the Razorback Baseball fan club.
Well, I'd like to be the czar of hiring people at Baxter Regional Medical Center. They're hiring right now.
There you go.
Competitive wages, generous benefits, much more. You can find the openings and more information and apply at workwhereyouvacation.com. Baxter Regional Medical Center, an equal opportunity employer providing excellent care for every patient every time. Baxter Regional also wants to thank their volunteers for help during the pandemic. If you want to volunteer, baxterregional.org for more information. Wrapping it up, Change My Mind is the cherry on the top.